that I really could do this right now because I had access to it for a while, but I just been so nervous to do it. I don't know. I wanted to be consistent. I wanted to be organized. I wanted to have a genre specifically for this, and I feel like because mental health and wellness is basically my whole life. Obviously, as a content creator on my YouTube channel, I do lifestyle and wellness. I felt like healing would be the category for my live streams. So, for the new year, I just started a book called Killing Comparison, written by Nona Jones. And I was listening to a podcast actually. The podcast is called Event Unplugged on YouTube, and that was the second time I had heard the book called Killing Comparison. So I felt like, okay, this is the universe telling me to go ahead and get this book. I'm looking for a new book. I'm not necessarily looking for self-help books. I'm looking for a realistic book that I can read. But I felt like this related to me because obviously comparison has been the thief of joy in my life to a certain extent. And the title is Killing Comparison, but the subtitle is basically Reject the Lie that you aren't good enough and live confidently in who God made you to be. So it has some kind of religious background. I'm not religious per se. I'm just a spirit living this human experience. And so even though it has a religion background, I just felt like I could relate to it in a way that helped me grow mentally, emotionally, and really equip me with the mental unblocking that I need to manifest all the things that I'm calling in right now. Because if you don't know, I also had invested into a healing program called To Be Magnetic, where I was listening to the podcast for a whole 6 months before I gave into the investment of To Be Magnetic. And it is basically a neuroscience approach as well as neuroplasticity in manifesting the dream life that you actually want. And those who have participated in this program have a 98% chance, not a chance, 98% success rate of manifesting the life that they actually desire within 6 to 12 months. So I invested in that as well. And I just felt like so far I've only read the first chapter of this book, and it's allowed me to unblock certain things in my life that maybe subconsciously was sitting in my rearview mirror. So I'm really excited to share this with you guys. And so I'm basically every Friday, my goal is to read a chapter of this book while we are live, okay? And to just stop when I feel called to stop and share my experience and how it relates directly to me. And I just feel like it's helping me so much already to unblock these subconscious beliefs about myself, because I just started chapter 2 today, right? Only read 2 pages, like 3 pages of it. And on the second page, no, on the third page, it says, his toxic words melted with those other voices and reinforced a belief that I secretly held for many years, the belief that I wasn't wanted. And so that sent me into a subconscious unblocking process where I just started going through how I resonated with that and what it has done for me and how it applies to my life. And it just started spiraling into all of these thoughts that reinforced the belief that I wasn't wanted in my past life, when I was younger, my inner child wounds and things like that. So I just really hope that if you join this live, you understand that it is a bit sensitive. So if you are triggered in any way and you feel like you should exit out of this live, then please feel free to do so. You are not being judged whatsoever. This is basically a live for people that want to heal, that are intentional about their growth mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And I hope that eventually this community will grow into something really big beyond me, that we can all resonate in a place of love, self-healing, and mental capability, mental growth. You know what I'm saying? So let's just start there, okay? I'm so excited to really be on here and to be sharing this because um I don't really have a big support system in my real world outside of the things I create for myself. I'm a single mom of two, and the last blog that I just posted yesterday was about the struggles of a single parent and how, lack of support just really can make these roller coaster rides of emotions seem very discouraging sometimes. So, um, this specific live is going to be really short. It's basically just introducing myself, introducing the live sessions, the brand, as we create this community of safe space, kind of like book club safe space, and just sharing like a little bit of my background. So I grew up as a adopted child of 10 plus siblings. I have a lot of siblings, and that quote from this book that said like nobody wants you, or like that you wasn't wanted, just kind of have been reinforced in my life, because when I look at my children and the struggles of single parenting, right? I have a son and I have a daughter. And just recently, the past 18 months, I've been very intentional about my spiritual healing and breaking generational curses and undoing those inner child wounds and shadows, right? And so I just feel like it forced me to take a look at both aspects of how I'm showing up in the world with my daughter versus how I'm showing up in the world with my son. And I had my daughter at a very early age. I had her at 18. She was unplanned. And I'm currently 31. I'll be 32 pretty soon, but my son is only 3.5. And so I had him in a marriage, and the the differences are just so huge in how it plays out in my day-to-day life, how I operate and show up in the world with my kids. So I said that to say it seems like I can trace all of my actions to how I show up as a mom to my daughter versus my son is, you know, I don't know what my I don't know what my relationship was with my mom. It almost feels non-existent. And I say that because, okay, I was taking a walk yesterday and I was listening to a podcast about the unblock subconsciously and like how you grew up. And for a long time, I couldn't even remember a lot of my childhood until I realized that basically that is your brain blocking out some of the memories, the traumatic memories from, times that really were held around shame, guilt, and deep pain in your life. So if you can't remember your childhood, more than likely it's just your brain's way of protecting yourself from those traumatic events. And it is normal to feel that way, but that's why it's so important to play. That's why it's so important to just meditate and sit in quiet and get in touch with yourself, because society already doesn't teach us that, right? They teach us to just be so busy doing that you're not busy being who you are authentically, right? So, back to how my relationships with my daughter and my son versus how that shows up and today is basically my son, I'm a lot more patient with him than I am with my daughter. And I know for a fact that I have abandonment issues around the fact that I was adopted, right? So from birth, I was adopted from birth. So even though I don't remember all of that, my subconscious mind does. And that lies a deep belief that you are not wanted. Because if your mom, who literally gave birth to you, didn't want you, then why, like, who else would want you, basically, right? And so also, in my family that I grew up in, I never call them my adoptive parents because they're my parents, right? So in my family that I grew up in, I just remember like me and my mom's relationship was it was there more than me and my dad's relationship. Um my dad, he was there. Like I had a two-parent household, but I just felt like disassociation was very prominent in my father. And although he was physically there, mentally he wasn't there, emotionally he was not there. Or that's just how I resonated. That's how I internalized it, because even today, I don't have that emotional connection with my father the way that I still desire to. And it has forced me to show up in the world in a way that I will, well, in the way that I always desire that male validation, right? So I desire male validation so much more than I desire females in woman friendships, because I've always been quick to cut a woman off way quicker than a man. I've noticed that. I don't gravitate towards women. I used to literally be afraid to form women friendships and women communities and bonds. And I would be that girl who always said, like, well, I just gravitate towards men, or like I just always have a whole bunch of guy friends. But we all know what that looks like, right? We all know in today's society, a woman who has a whole bunch of male friends and what that looks like. It's just not healthy. So when I had my son, it was like the thing that I always wanted, right? That shiny, perfect carrot that the universe gave to me. And I just always treated him with such kindness and patience. And the way that he loves me is just, it feels so much different than how I internalize my daughter to love me. And right now, she's almost in that teenage phase. So we're bumping heads, which is normal, right? We're bumping heads so much. And, but me and my son, like, even though he has moments of emotional dysregulation, like I'm still able to be more patient with him and getting his nervous system to regulate a little bit better than me and my daughter. And I just feel like it has a lot to do with those subconscious beliefs that lie really deep within my core about, not being validated by my father for my whole life. So I yearn for that male validation, and it has showed up in literally all of my 20s, because I spent my whole fucking 20s chasing this perfect relationship with a man, because I saw my parents, and they're still married today, but I lived in a two-parent household, and so I really, really desired that. And having a daughter out of wedlock even reinforced it even more, because I'm like, well, I don't want to be a single mom. Like, my daughter deserves a father figure. So let me go out here and start this family, create this family, in such a delusional way that I was ignoring red flags from men and just ignoring all of the things that men presented to me, because I was so delusional about creating this family, because I never grew up in a single parent household, and I just didn't want that for my daughter. But also I yearned for that male validation. So it was like a two for one, right? And you can only imagine what came from that, because I was operating in a lack mindset. I'm not getting this, so let me go and chase this. And it was, ooh, it was so horrendous. Like, I have been in numerous abusive relationships, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Like, I just got out of a narcissistic marriage less than 2 years ago, and that in itself sparked my spiritual awakening. So, like, I'm really dedicated and really passionate about this community that I'm very intentional about sharing and cultivating, because not only did I want to do this a few years ago, but I didn't have the confidence to do so. But I've been growing myself within those few years very intentionally. And I could sit here right now and tell you guys, like, yes, I'm nervous, but I'm so confident in what I'm doing. And I'm not going to second guess it this time, because I know that what I have to offer is not just going to help me and my inner child, but it's also going to help bring a community of women and like-minded women who need that support and reinforcement and just encouragement of healing and the ability to heal in this time of life where life is so chaotic. And so, like, I'm just really excited to share this moment with you guys. And I really pray that if you resonate with this kind of content, that you stick around and subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss these lives. I'm going to try my best to be very consistent in going live every Friday with spiritual healing in mind, specifically this book that we are going to be reading together. So I'm only going to look at it like Thursday night to kind of like review what I'm going to be going over for Friday's live. Um, if you're interested, you can get this book off Amazon. Again, it's called Killing Comparison by Nona Jones. And it's probably like $15. It came pretty quick for me. It was Amazon Prime. But yeah, again, my name is Yazi. You can call me Lotus. And I'm just very excited to be sharing something so passionate that I've always wanted to do. So thank you guys so much for just taking the time to listen to this. And I really hope that you got something from it and that I see you back here next week. So take care, you guys. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see you again next week. Bye.